Mm. So now we're going to look at generic delta bus. See, what is the T code for creating generic extractor? RSO2. Yeah. But look at this. Now what I am doing is I am not using ECC as a source. I am using BW as a source for BW, for just showing you demo on generic delta bus. Because even in BW, I will have RSO2. Because my clocks will be synchronized in the server, because R3 and BW may not be synchronized. Just for in the real time, it's fine. Same thing what I am doing it here, you would do in ECC, no difference. Okay, na? So what I am doing, I am using the same BW system to enable, show you demo on generic delta. So in that case, what connections will I use? Will I use R3 connection? Will I use myself connection? I use that's the only difference. Otherwise, everything else is same. Okay. First, let me explain you what is what. So when you're creating generic extractor, yeah. Okay. There's some table like this. Now when you're going, how do you specify delta? And you go here, generic delta. Here, see. Don't worry on this. You can say what type, what should be your mechanism of delta, timestamp or what, date wise or numeric pointer. And when you specify any of the type, you specify on which field should I use for it. Suppose let's say I say ER which is what, date. Then I'll say delta is on. Delta should work with based on date wise and using which field? This field. Atla. What mechanism you want and based on which field it has to work. That's the concept. That's it. Okay. But how does it work when you say cal day? How does it work when it timestamp? How does it work numeric point? We'll see. Okay. Okay, boss. Let's say here I've got a table like something. Z sales is my table name. I've got a field like VBLN, let's say year dat, NETWR, some currency, let's say some sales org. Okay. Let's say this is my table names, and I give you some type. This is my database. So now I clearly tell you that this table is going to be a sales table, and each record in this table is basically a sales order. Each record in it indicates one sales order. Now every time there is a new sales order, a new transaction happens, you go to create a new order, and every order would get a new increment number. Let's say now order number is 1, 2, 3, right? The next order would be 4, and the next order would be 5, 6. That's how it comes. Okay. Okay, boss. Now what I want to do is I want to say, so based on the document number, can I say this is a new record or old record? Now I've got document number 1, 2, 3. Okay. Later tomorrow I come in, I see 4. Can I say the 4 was created newly? So with the help of number, I am going to say. So in that case, when you want to set up delta based on a column, which is basically giving a new incremental number, we go with numeric pointer. What I'll do, I'll create a data source on this table and enable delta on which field, which is this VBLN field. That is C. That is field name. Delta specific field is what? VBLN. And what type of delta? I'll say NP. I am enabling delta on the data source on this table. What type of delta it is? Numeric pointer. And what is the delta relevant field? VBLN. So when you say numeric pointer, it works with the incremental number. Okay. Now look. Now same way, let's say you have some infobix in BW. Can I have infobix the same name with the same infobix? Let's say created in BW, and he was asking me when I'm doing generic extraction, should I create infobix? Yes. If you're bringing data source of 5 fields, obviously you should have 5 infobix to map those, right? Yeah. Let's say I know these are like field names. Can I have infobix with the same field name? Yeah, no issues here. Let's say I have a cube like this, okay? And you perform the data flow, data source to target, everything is done. So you go and trigger this. You go and trigger what? Info package. So I'm going to trigger my info package with what update? If your info package supports delta, first time when you see, do you get to see full and init both? If data source supports delta, in the info package, do you get to see 2 update options? One is full and init both. So I'll see info package with what? Initialize delta. What is the difference between full and init? If I don't run initialize, can I do delta next one? So if I need to do a delta from next, I need to first run what? Initialize the data source. Initialize delta update. From next, I can start running what? Delta update. Now when I do initialize, how does it work? If I do initialize, how does it work? What is it? It brings all the data. It works like full. Yeah. So what happens? How many records should come in? All the 3 records will come into BW. So your init is done. Yeah. As soon as you run init, it extracts all the data from the full update. Also works same way. So what does initialize do? It extracts all the historical data and puts into my target in BW. And nothing but put data source, then you run DDP. Okay. Then what it does? Once your init is successful, it extracts all the historical data. Then it sets up a delta status. Delta status అని పెట్టుకుంటుంది. Okay. ఎప్పుడు as soon as you run the init, it extracts all the historical data to BW and starts maintaining the delta status, saying like this. Delta status, what is delta relevant field? VBLN. What is the pointer till where it is extracted? 3. And over there పెట్టుకుంటున్నాం. That is called as delta status. And you can see this delta status in the T code RSA 7. RSA 7 T code లో ఈ delta status చూడొచ్చు మనం కొట్టినాక 3 అని చూపిస్తుంది. Okay. Then later you come back. So once you run it, can I keep running delta every day or every hour depending on the requirement? Let's say now I create new order. Okay. You create some new orders. So from morning to evening, let's say they have perform some transactions where they could only create what? 2 orders. Then from next onwards, every day you run init only once in your lifetime. Then you keep running delta loads. Now what do I say? Info package. I'll run delta loads. Okay. So when you run the delta, what it does? It gets to the source ECC and finds out your delta status. What is the delta status here? 3. So then it extracts all the records greater than 3, takes these 2 records 4 and 5 and goes to the source and updates my status as what? 5. Again, let's say you create some more transactions. Yeah. Okay. Again, once you run every day, you will be running delta loads now. It could be hourly or daily, weekly, depending on requirement. So when you do delta again, next what happens? Again, the status is 5, and it picks up all the records greater than 5, which is what? 6, 7, and 8, and takes it to your target and updates this delta status as what? 8. This is how delta works. Any doubt?
The previous record has changed.
Look at this. It says, if you are doing a mechanism with this numeric pointer, you are able to recognize the new record what is created. Suppose say I change this to, let's say, 88. Are you recognizing this? That is the problem with numeric pointer. So numeric pointer is enabled delta on a field which is like counter-like field. So it will only recognize the new records what is created. It does not recognize the records what is being changed. Right? Accepted. That is how numeric pointer works. So that's why you must use numeric pointer delta only in a scenario or a table where there is always a creation of new record. There is never a change of record. There will be some tables like that. Say there could be some scenario like say CATS DB table HR time management table. That leppudu unna record maradu. Every time it will be a new record. There might be some scenario where there is never a creation of new record. In those cases, numeric pointer could be an option of enabling delta. That's an option. But I am not saying that is the only option. This is one option of enabling delta. Numeric pointer. Clear? Okay. Did you understand what numeric pointer was? Yes. Okay, boss. Next, as he said, if I am using numeric pointer, I am not recognizing the documents what is changed, but I have a scenario of a table where the change of a document is also possible, and even that has to be captured. So the numeric pointer option is ruled out. Then what I will do, I will go with the next kind of delta mechanism where I have an option of CalDev. Okay. So now look at this here. Now I will explain to you about a table now. I have a field called date of tran under this. Okay? Date of transaction. This will have when the document is initially created, it will have the created date. When you keep changing it, it will have the changed date. Now this was initially created on 28th April. Let's say on the next day I change it on 22nd. So this date will get modified as 22nd April 2015 and మారుతుంది. అర్థమైందంటే ఈ డేట్ ఏముంటుందంటే if it is a new record created, it will have the created date. If it is modified, it will have the date of modification. So now by looking at this date values, can I know on which date this particular transaction has been modified or created? ఈ డేట్ కాలం బట్టి ఈ డేట్ వాల్యూస్ బట్టి ఇది ఈరోజు కొత్తగా క్రియేట్ అయిందా లేదు మాడిఫై అయిందా కనుక్కోగలుగుతాను. బస్ ఎందుకు కనుక్కోవచ్చు. ఆ డేట్ కాలంలో ఏముంటుంది, ఇఫ్ ద రికార్డ్ ఈస్ న్యూలీ క్రియేటెడ్ ఇట్ హ్యావ్ ద క్రియేటెడ్ డేట్, ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ చేంజ్ ఇట్ హ్యావ్ ది చేంజ్డ్ డేట్. అప్పుడు ఈ కాలం బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద వాల్యూస్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ కాలం డేట్, can I recognize that this has been modified or newly created? Yes or no? So can I implement a logic of identifying the delta records from this column? Yes, possibility. So I'll say what? I'll say delta relevant field is what? Date of transaction, and the delta mechanism is CalDate date wise. When you want to enable the delta mechanism based on the date wise, I would use CalDay, and the delta relevant field is what? Date of transaction. Done. I have enabled like this. Now again I created data source on this table, with CalDate delta by using which field? Date of transaction is all fine. Now again you replicated, connected data source, target, transformations, info package, DTP, everything is ready now. Let's say I start doing it again. Again you will start running init now. So when I start running init, now let's say now today's date is what? April 22nd, okay. So when I run the init, what happens? Today's date is 22nd. It extracts all the records where my the date of transaction, because delta is on date of transaction, right? Less than what? 22nd April 2015, current date. And how many records comes in? Idan nanu itla ayipindi. Format marindi. Okay, it will extract these three records and loads into what? To BW, and will update the data status as what? Date of, what is delta relevant field? Date of tran 22nd April 2015. Okay, Ramesh? Let's say now 22nd date ayipindi, rows ayipindi. Let's say next day started, 23rd has started. Then you start modifying this record 23.01, sorry, not 04.2015. You modified this from 88 to, let's say, 99, and then you also create one more new record for say 23rd 04 2015 with 9 INR 1/3. కొత్త రికార్డ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం. Yeah. Now when you do delta now, once you finish it, you keep running what? Let's say from 23rd morning, till evening, they basically created one new record and they modified one existing record. At night and then evening of 23rd, you're trying to extract the data. Okay. Extract what? What will you perform? Delta. So when you run the delta, what happens? It takes the previous delta status as the lower limit and the current date as the upper limit. Then the criteria would be extract all the records from the table where date of transaction is greater than the lower limit. Lower limit is what? Previous delta 22nd and less than or equal to my current date. When is it? 23rd. Tell me how many records. So look at my condition. Greater than my lower limit and less than or equal to upper limit. Upper limit at current date. Current date is what? 23rd April. So what records will it pick up? Greater than 22nd but less than or equal to 23rd. So what records will it pick up? and greater than 22nd undali, less than 23rd undali, rendu undali. And so what is it? Will it pick up this record? Let's say I'll overwrite this record. Do you know how to overwrite, boss? How will you overwrite? If it is given changed value, I must overwrite by using what? ODS. Now it extracts fourth record also, and it will update the status to what? Okay. Let's say again the next day, next day started, 24th has started. They played one more record. What will be date? Well, again there's one record changed, there's one record I created newly. Let's say again from 24th morning till evening they process the transactions in the business. In the night again I need to take it to BW. Again when I do delta, what is the criteria bus now? Lower limit is 23rd, upper limit is you're running it on evening 24th. So what is the criteria bus? Greater than 23rd and less than or equal to what? 24th. So what documents will it pick up? Will it pick up the 5? I know it because it is giving me changed value. I must overwrite by using what? ODS. This is how delta works on CalDate. Any issues? Even a problem untunda? Difficult to find out. What you want to find out? నువ్వేం చేయలేదు కదా సిస్టమ్ కదా, వై యువర్ వరీడ్? What are the logic I am explaining? We will not do that. System will identify that. So you are giving logic to system. We don't worry if it is complex.
How many times the customer has changed the record?
How many times?
The customer has changed the records which is different.
You can get the entire history in ODS change log. In the ODS change log will give me entire changes of the transaction. Then, ఇంకేం ప్రాబ్లం లేదా? ఇంకా కొత్తది ఏదన్నా బట్ ఇంకా రీజనింగ్ నాకు కావాలి. ఇట్స్ నాట్ జస్ట్ లుక్ at this, look at my problem. So on 24th you have run this load. At what time did you run? Let's say at evening 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. On the same day, after you run the delta load at 8 o'clock, let's say at night 10 o'clock there is one transaction created. What will be date? Okay. On the same day night, after you have done the load at 8 o'clock, I have created this transaction at night 10 o'clock. Let's say next day started 25th 7, 25th I create one transaction. Okay, so let's say you run again on 25th evening, you are running the load at 8 o'clock. What is it? What will be criteria was? What is the lower limit? 24. What is higher limit? 25. So greater than 24, less than or equal to 25th. So what happens? Only 7th is brought in, 6 is not considered. Why? Did you understand the problem? How can I solve this problem? So there is a chance of missing some delta records like this, right? అప్పుడు మిస్ కాకూడదంటే ఏం చేయాలి? If I am not supposed to miss records like this, how will you solve it? టైం పెట్టుకోవాలి సరే, డేటే ఉందనుకో అప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? లెట్స్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఓన్లీ డేట్. విత్ ఇన్ దిస్ ఐ షుడ్ నాట్ మిస్ ద డెల్టా రికార్డ్స్. వాట్ కెన్ ఐ డూ? అంటే మీకు కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం కాదు. సో కెన్ ఐ సే ఇఫ్ ఐమ్ నాట్ సపోజ్ టు మిస్ ఎనీ రికార్డ్, I must run delta only once per day, that at the end of the clock. 12 o'clock run చేసాను అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? After 12 o'clock he cannot anyhow create records. If he creates, it will be in next day. అప్పుడు ఏమంటే whenever I set up delta on calendar to not to miss the delta records, I will have to run delta only once at end of the clock. 12 o'clock రాత్రి రన్ చేయాలి. అట్లా 10 ఉన్నాయనుకో, అన్ని 12 గంటలు రన్ చేయొచ్చా? If I have 100 extractors, can I run the info path for 100 extractors exactly at 12 o'clock? I may not be, right? May not work out. So అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తామంటే, so we cannot really guarantee that it always runs at 12 o'clock only. There might be a miss out. So వేరే లోడ్ ఏదో లేట్ అయింది, నాది లేట్ అయిపోయింది. It can be possible like that. So what they do, they cannot really depend on the timing when the load runs in. So అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తామంటే, there is a concept called safety lower limit and concept. Safety lower limit అంటే, now what is actually lower limit now? 24th కదా, దాన్ని 1 day ఎనికి జరిపి ఎత్తుకో ఇప్పుడు ప్రతిసారి అంట. Then what happens? When the lower limit is 24, actual criteria should be greater than 24 and less than or equal to 25. I would say lower limit of 1 day అంట. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? 24 is moved back to 23rd, so greater than 23rd and less than 25. అప్పుడు ఆ రికార్డ్ వస్తుందా? అప్పుడు ఇంకో వేరే ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుంది. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? డూప్లికేట్స్ వచ్చే ఛాన్స్ ఉంది. ఐ ల్యాండ్ ఇన్ దోస్. ఓకే, ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు మిస్ ద ఛాన్స్ ఆఫ్ మిస్సింగ్ డెల్టా రికార్డ్స్. సమ్ డూప్లికేట్ రికార్డ్స్ ఇస్ ఫైన్. ఇట్స్ ఆఫ్ బ్రింగింగ్ ఎంటైర్ డూప్లికేట్స్, సమ్ రికార్డ్స్ డూప్లికేట్ ఇస్ ఓకే. ఐ విల్ హ్యాండిల్ ఇట్ బై ఓవర్ రైటింగ్ ఇన్ ది ఓడిఎస్. అది సేఫ్టీ లిమిట్, సేఫ్టీ లోవర్ లిమిట్స్. అర్థమైందన్నా? బట్ యాక్చువల్లీ వీ హ్యాడ్ దిస్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ బికాస్ ఐ వాజ్ నాట్ యూజింగ్ టైమ్ కదా. but I can still handle it by using what? Safety lower limits like this. Clear this? That is one. And same thing if you go with date and time, let's say 10 o'clock. Let's say it's 22nd. If it is date and time together, what is it you call it as? Time stamp as. Let's say there are two records now. Okay. Now since I have time stamp, I have a field called timestamp which gives me create a timestamp or change a timestamp. I will set up delta. What type of delta now? Timestamp year, date and time together. I will set up timestamp delta by using this field now. Okay, let's say now the time is 9 o'clock on the same day. I create two records, okay, 8 o'clock and 8:10. Let's say when you run it load at 9 o'clock, what happens? It extracts these two and then takes it to what BW and it sets the time. It set the time as what? What is it now? When did you run the delta? Okay, it was 9 o'clock. Let's say after 9 o'clock you start still creating transactions on the same day. Okay, boss. I plan to run delta every 1 hour. You can also do it every half an hour. Okay. Let's say now the time is 10 o'clock. So what is the correct? So 90 bit. Sorry. What is the criteria was? Lower limit is 9 o'clock. Upper limit is 10 o'clock. So greater than 9, less than or equal to 10. So it extracts what? Will it extract these records between 9 and 10? And it updates the status as what now? 10 o'clock. Like this, can I do delta loads multiple times a day because I got timestamp available, time available? Clear this? But again, I might have some problem here. Look. So you plan to run delta every 1 hour, right? So already delta 10 o'clock is run. When will be next delta? After 1 hour, time 11 o'clock. Let's say exactly at 10:57. Exactly at 10:57, I started creating a transaction. When I say create new transaction, I would get a transaction screen where it will take the current date and time in it. What will be current date and time? April 22nd, 9:57 as the date. Okay, and I'll do all the transactions. 11 o'clock delta runs in, but there are no records. It will bring 0, but it will update. Will it update the status as what? 11 o'clock. At 11:05, customer had some coffee, then he just saved the transaction at 11:05. At 11:05, the document comes into this table with what time? It will come with 10:57, but what time will this record comes in? At 11 o'clock. Sorry, 11:05 lo save chesnadu. Okay. So next delta will run at what? 12 o'clock. So when run 12, the criteria should be what? Lower limit is 11 o'clock. Difference between 11 and 12, what record will come? There is no record comes in. I am not missing this record. Yeah. Why? He took lot of time to post. So if I need to make sure that there is no delta record missed out, I must say that every user will do posting in 2 minutes only. Understand? We cannot guarantee it. But still, if I want to reduce the chance of missing delta records, half an hour enikko, 1 hour వెనక్కి పోగలిగితే కెన్ రెడ్యూస్ ద ఛాన్స్ ఆఫ్ మిస్సింగ్. అగైన్ వచ్చి సేఫ్టీ లోవర్ లిమిట్ ఆఫ్ లెట్స్ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్, 300 seconds. హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ అంటే సే 1800 seconds ఉంటాం అంటే 30 minutes ఇట్ గోస్ బ్యాక్. సో ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ 11 and 10 ఇట్ సేస్ 10:30 to 12. అవర్ మళ్ళీ డూప్లికేట్ రికార్డ్, దెర్ ఇస్ ఛాన్స్ ఆఫ్ డూప్లికేట్. ఐ కెన్ ఓవర్ రైట్ దట్ విత్ వాట్ ODS. నువ్వు అనాలి దెర్ ఇస్ అ యూజర్ హూ స్టార్ట్ క్రియేటింగ్ అట్ లెట్స్ సే 7:59, ఈ సేవ్డ్ ఆఫ్టర్ 2 days ఉంటాడు. Yes, there could be possible link, but what I am saying is by using safety lower limits, I am reducing the chance of missing delta records, but I cannot guarantee 100%. 100% guarantee lena, maximum possibility taggistunna. That's what I am saying. Okay, now that's fine. So that is what delta with cal day, timestamp, numeric pointer. తప్పదు మిస్ అయ్యింది. We can only reduce the chance of missing records. We cannot really guarantee సరే అబ్బా సెటప్ చేసినా ఎప్పటికి మిస్ కాదంటే ఎవడు చేయలేడు. అట్లా వాడు ఏమంటే నేను సంవత్సరం తర్వాత సేవ్ చేస్తా అంటాడు. అప్పుడే ఇట్స్ బెటర్ యూ డూ ఫుల్ అప్లోడ్. ఓకే, సో దిస్ హౌ దే ఎనేబుల్ డెల్టా. సో లెట్స్ సే యూర్ పర్ఫార్మింగ్ జనరిక్ ఎక్స్ట్రాక్టర్. లెట్స్ సే యూ కెన్ గో టేబుల్, వ్యూ, ఇన్ఫో, ఎనీథింగ్ యూ వాంట్ depending on the fields. What is it? Suppose if I am given with a counter like field and where there is always a creation of new record, you will enable delta on numeric pointer. So if I give you like change date which tells me on which date this particular transaction is being created, or change date, then I can enable delta on date, cal day. If I have timestamp field, I can go with timestamp delta. I don't have counter like field, I don't have change date, I don't have change timestamp, then what? ఎవడేం చేయలేడు, ఫుల్ అప్లోడ్ కొట్టాల్సి. I don't have an option of enabling it with numeric pointer because there is no counter like field, there is no date or change in date, there is no change in timestamp through which I can recognize, because there should be some logic through which I can recognize. Only then I can explain the system what to do. If I don't know the logic, if I can't derive a logic to identify, system cannot derive it. So there will be only option of doing what? Full. There could be a scenario in the real time where they are not able to enable delta, it will be only full loads also. Date to timestamp pointer, nothing is available, then you'll have to do what? Full upload. Okay. See, I have this table already. Yeah? I got the table with these 4 fields. So these are the document numbers. 13 I've got. Okay, was fine. I'll enable delta first on what else? VBLN using what? Numeric pointer. I don't need any safety upper limit, lower limit, anything. Now there's 2 radio buttons options now. New status for change in records, read delta. If I say new status for change in records, let's say there is a document with 8 rupees, 8 and then you change it to 10. It only gives me change in value. Only 10 comes in. Then I need to what? Overwrite the data. If I say add it to delta, it can give you only difference. 8 is changed to 10, it gives you what? The 2. Then I can add up to my queue. So I'm going with new status for change in records and then say what? Save. Then what? So save. I have now. Does it enable delta? Yes. Then what should I do? Replicate. Should I use this one or this one? BW connection, right? Because I am using extractor in this. This one Z demo, yeah. Change. Just see there is something. What is this here? Yeah. I'll explain that later. But if you want, you can connect to the DS1 then load. But I'm not loading it because I just want to show you delta with info package. I don't need target because when I run info, it only comes till data source, right? I don't need target now. Only the ODS load చేసి ODS పెట్టి transformations అన్ని better. I'm not doing it. I only want to show you those delta coming in. Yeah? Can I just create info package here and show you? Because if I want to load it to the target, then I need ODS also. I'm not loading. I'm just want to see the delta. Yeah. Extraction, processing. What do you do? See, now you get to see these two options. Since your data source enables delta, you start getting to see this option: initialize delta process. Init with the data, without data. I would like to initialize means enable for delta with by bringing historical data. Schedule and say what? Start. How many records I had in the table? 13 records. Yeah. So as an init, and as an init, we should bring in historical records, should bring in all those 13. Successfully done. If init is successfully done, two things should happen. One is in the info package, you start just refresh your screen. Do you start getting to see delta? This disturb చేయకుండా ఏం చేస్తారంటే జనరల్గా they try to copy this info package and they'll say they'll not disturb, because that should be like that as a proof that init was run. Init ఎట్లా రన్ చేసినా అటు సెట్టింగ్స్ అట్లే పెడతారు సేవింగ్, and then they get into this, they say it what delta and you can start running it. This is first change you should see once you run init. Then should I see delta status? Yes or no? Yeah. Where do you see delta status? RSS 7. What is your data source bus? ZDemo, right? And if you get to the last corner, what is this? Pointer first, not a status. Okay, just click on this. Status on which field? VBLN. And what is present status bus? Document number 13. That is what status is. Okay. Shall I create one more record? Okay, now it's done. I'll go back to middle, I'll run my delta. How many records will come? Can I see this in the PSA? What are the two records? అంతే నాకు ఓడేస్ వరకు అవసరం లేదన్న. I can observe here also 14 and 15. Okay. Do you understand this? Now you should see the status getting it as, sorry, one is ZDemo, right? Getting it to what? What a status update I found. This is what we discussed in the Excel, yeah? Okay. So does this table give me date like stuff? Yeah? Can I use that? అన్ని మా కరెంట్ డేట్, మన సిస్టంలో కరెంట్ డేట్ ఏముందో నాకు తెలియదు నాకు తెలుసు. to 2004. Okay, Lewis. Okay. Caldate delta on which field now? Year date. And can I say, if you want to go 1 day back always, can I say safety lower limit as what? One, when it is caldate, it indicates days. If you select timestamp, one indicate what? 1 second actually, okay? So it will go 1 day back. So now as it is in it brings in 15 records. Yes. Okay, numbers. Now let's see the status in the delta queue. Whatever Z demo date 12/2/2014. What I'll go to this table, create. One second. Some 16. So my status is 12, right? It's a limit of 1, so it goes 1 day back and then can exit. So if it goes 1 day back, should it pick even save 13 and so you have 13, 14. If it goes 1 day back, even all these 4 records should bring it. What is the option you select? It is not recognizing that. Why? The problem here is, what is the criteria when you run delta date wise? Greater than the previous timestamp, previous lower limit and current date, right? Current date is still 12 only. So tomorrow when we run the load, it picks up records with 12 and what? 13. My system date program 12 undanda. So always upper limit is current date. That's the problem. Yes. There's 2 options. You got, you understand why why is not getting 13 and 14? My system date is 12. So upper limit is what? 12th. What is it? And I wanted to read this information. If you go in, there is upper limit, right? Just keep cursor on this and say F1. You read this. He will give a very good example. 1125 created, 1135 saved, and what will happen? Read that, okay? Upper limit. Then there's something lower limit. Read this. Can you try to read this? If you don't understand, read twice. You get the same thing what we discussed. If you're saving at 1057 and saving at 11.5, like this. Okay, boss, this is about generic delta. Okay.